Hey guys, it's me Talia and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's look is inspired by one of my favorite characters, which is Harley Quinn, but I went with a more different type of take on her. I wanted to go with a look of, because of the fact that she's abused mentally, physically, and emotionally by her lover, the Joker, I wanted to turn her into something that resembles that she is broken. So I went more with a physical route, which is why I have all these lovely cracks in my face. And I'm very happy with how the look turned out. There is one more element I will add, but I'll show you snippets of that towards the end of the video. The only reason why I can't do it now is because I cannot talk with them very well with them in my mouth. So if you want to see how I went from my usual dorky self to this beautiful, hauntingly beautiful, cracked face Harley Quinn, keep on watching. Also, if you want to, not asking, but it would be nice, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel and click that notification bell down below to notify you guys when I upload a video. And yeah, let's get on with the tutorial of my shenanigans.
Hey, this is Talia's disembodied voice here. Look at me do a dance. I want to also start off by saying I am so sorry that some of the parts in this video are going to be a little bit out of focus. I didn't notice I was out of focus, and by time I actually realized, I was already about 40% done with the makeup, so I was just like, can't do anything about it. Plus, I did not feel like literally starting all over again. So I do apologize for that in advance. So what I'm starting off with is my usual outlining, taking that NYX lip liner, and I have no idea what color. I will put it down in the description bar below, and generally outlining where I want the collar to lay on my chest and my shoulders. I had no specific order of how I wanted the collar to lay. I did draw out a picture of it, excuse me, but I knew I wanted 2 colors and 3 checkered patterns. So basically, once I get the general outline of what I want, I'll move on to the next step. Sharpening my pencil. Get yourself a pencil sharpener because they are your best friends. I will tell you that right now. And if anytime I made a mistake, I just literally used my finger and wiped it away. I didn't want to waste a makeup wipe on it, honestly, and it's pretty simple to just rub away with your finger. It's a cream product, so it comes off very easily. So this part, I did skip a little bit of this because this was taking way longer than I expected. So I took a Mehron white body paint and generally outlined where I wanted the checkered patterns to lie. And once I got the general idea of where I wanted them to be, I started to fill them in. I did notice that the shoulder that I'm painting now, I painted the checkers a little too big. So they're a little bit off from the panel on my chest and my other shoulder. I didn't notice that either. But not gonna lie, doing checkered patterns, oof, my English, could be a little bit difficult. This was also my second attempt at doing a checkered pattern since I started body painting in general. The first time, that was a steaming hot pile of garbage. But I would say I have improved since my first attempt, and also it's a lot more difficult to paint checkered patterns on your shoulders where there's curves than it is when I was doing the panel on my chest. So yeah, once I fill them in, and I'm glad I didn't have to go in again with white because sometimes white can be a little tricky to like maneuver. Now I'm going in with my black Mehron paint and filling everything in black. This took a little bit of a while, so I cut most of this out too. Most of the time that was spent doing this entire makeup was literally the checkered pattern. I had to like twist and turn and break my neck. Ooh, that was not fun. This is the point where I realized that I was out of focus for the first hour of doing this, shaking my head. So now I'm taking a lime green Mehron body paint and I'm filling in the last two bits of my collar. This paint gave me a little trouble with the brush I was originally using, so I switched to a bigger brush to fill it in, because as you see, she's a little streaky. I think I may have added a little bit too much water, so it was very translucent. The less water you add, the more opaque it is. The more water you add, the more translucent. So it was really good that I was smart enough to switch the brush. So in switching the brush, I was able to like be a little bit more mindful of how much water to add. So yeah, I'm just going in, and at the sides I like turn the brush to the side so I don't like get any on like the black or white, because once that mix in, it is not very fun to fix it. I would probably have to go in with my Q-tip method to fix everything. Going in, making sure that cover up the double chin, because your girl's rocking the double chin. I will get rid of that soon. But yeah, just going in, filling everything in, also making sure that I didn't mess this part up again. But I did realize later that I was a little out of focus in some other parts. Oh my god, I don't know what was going on with my focus on my camera. So yeah, I think I went in with about 2 layers of the green to like really make it opaque. Usually you want to wait until like one layer is dry and then go in with the next layer, because if you go in while it's still wet, it's just literally going to pick up the paint, which you don't want to mess up all your hard work. So now what I did off camera was add in all the line works so the collar looks like it's separated and it's not just one big piece of cloth on your neck, even though technically it's not cloth. And then I added all the shading with gray eyeshadow going upward on each of the white squares to add some dimension, because I don't like my body paints to be flat. So now I am going in with my eyebrows. So what I usually do for my eyebrows, I take the NYX eyebrow pencil in the color charcoal, because that's probably the closest I'm going to get to my natural eyebrow color, because I don't want to go in straight black. That's too harsh. So I get the general shape that I want, and just to fill in the front part of my brows, because sometimes you can still see my skin through like the eyebrow pencil. I take my NYX Epic ink liner and just feather in the front part of my brows so they're all just one solid cohesive color. Then I take my Morphe concealer in white and I just carve out my brow. I used to never do this method before, but my friend and classmate from school, Risa, showed me how to properly do it, because the first time I attempted doing this, which was a long time ago, I was very half-assed and very lazy, and it came out bad. So I stepped away to go wet my sponge because I didn't do that before. Good job, Talia. And now I'm taking my Ben Nye cream foundation in the color Ghoal, and I'm just blending that all over my face. I tend to do cream makeups after I do the body because I have very, very oily skin, and if I do the cream first and then work on the body, the makeup will start separating. And that runs with me with regular foundation, even regular body paint. So that's why with majority of my body paints, no matter what I'm doing, I do my face last. It just makes my life easier. and less stressed. So now I'm taking that same Morphe concealer I used for my brows, and I'm highlighting the high points of my face. I usually do all the concealing at one shot, but this concealer tends to dry kind of quickly. So just to be safe, I do one at a time before I go and move into the next portion of my face. And here's where I noticed that there was a few areas that needed just to be brightened up a little bit more, so I went in very light-handedly with the concealer. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to set my face. I'm going to take my Coty Airspun translucent powder and that same sponge I used to blend in my foundation and concealer and press that into my face. I tend to use this regardless, even with my regular foundation, because when I first started using a brush, I don't think it pressed in enough, and like my makeup would start separating faster. But I noticed when I started using my beauty sponge, because I don't have beauty blender, that I don't justify $20 for a sponge. You can find good quality ones for much cheaper, in my opinion at least. Oh, I have to sneeze. And yeah, I press it into my face. Once I feel like pressing it into my face, it makes my makeup last so much longer. So now we're gonna go into the eyes. Gonna take my usual handy dandy Maybelline concealer and prime my eyes. I tend to use this one for all of my eyeshadows. At first I only use it for my bright eyed makeup, but most of my makeup tends to be bright. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna use it for my dark ones too. Gonna take my NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in the color Black Bean and start to do my very basic smoky eye. Well, what I usually use for my basic smoky eye. I did notice that the concealer and the eye pencil started mixing a little bit too much, but that's probably because I put too much concealer on and I didn't have my brush to blend it out. So now I'm gonna take a black eyeshadow from the Pretty Vulgar Cosmetics. Forget the name of the eyeshadow palette. I will leave it in the description below and pack on that black shadow. I'm using pretty much this and one more palette for the most of the look, because the Pretty Vulgar Cosmetics palette has a gray eyeshadow and I didn't want to shade with just straight black, because sometimes black could be a little bit too harsh and a little bit too much if you aren't light-handed. So the fact that it had a gray was perfect. So basically I was going to do a black smoky eye, but then I started realizing that I look like a goddamn panda. So I'm taking the Certifeye, I forget the name. I know I said the name wrong in the last video. Affinity? I think it's Affinity, not Affiliate. I think it's Affinity 2 palette, and I don't know the name of the shade, but I'm taking their, I think it was the second lightest green, and I'm packing that on over the gray because I realized I didn't like how the gray was looking. So yeah, I'm just packing it on, but like also gently blending it out while I'm patting on the color. Usually I pack on the color first and then gently blend out so I don't like have any fallout or knock off too much of the eyeshadow. Then I noticed one eye was a little, like the green was a little darker, and I kind of liked the way it was, so I took very light-handedly, took a little bit of the gray and packed it on top, and then contoured under my lip, I guess to make my lips look a little bit more pouty, and then in between my lip. Now I'm taking the ColourPop Villains Collection. I believe this is from Dr. Facilier's set, and it's the jelly eyeshadow in the color Not Today, which is this really pretty dark green with these gold and red glitter in it to do, you know, my cut crease without having to use concealer again, because I don't like doing that. It's too much work sometimes, and this saves me a bunch of time. So basically patting on the color and blending it out because I didn't want I didn't want the cut crease to be not super noticeable, but sometimes I don't like my cut creases to be super defined. I kind of wanted that like smoky blurred out effect, and then I started to tear. That's why Q-tips are your best friend. Now I'm taking that gray eyeshadow from the Pretty Vulgar Cosmetic palette, and I am contouring my face. Now, usually, like I said in probably another video, I don't remember, I don't necessarily like contouring, honestly, but I only contour when I'm doing character makeups. In my regular makeup routine, I do not contour. Now I'm taking my favorite eyeliner, the NYX Epic Ink Liner, and just doing a bar eyeliner so like my lashes can blend in more. I didn't feel like doing a wing because of the fact that the eye look was so dark and smoky. I don't even think you'd be able to see the wing unless I was doing like some colored graphic liner. So now I'm just trying to figure out like what needs to be done and what's left over, and now I'm taking my eyeliner. Now I know where I was supposed to be. I looked so lost when I was doing this because I was thinking of one thing and then I meant to do another. So I'm taking the Epic Ink Liner and creating the diamond portions on my face because, you know, that's Harley Quinn's signature look. I didn't go too low as far as like the one on my forehead. I didn't want it to connect through the brow because I was going to be putting highlighter there, and I didn't want the eyeliner and the highlighter to look weird. So I just skipped that whole part. So now I'm going to take my smoky, smudgy brush thingy and smoke out my lower lash line. I don't know what color it is. I don't know if I used black or green. I can't tell. My bad. I'm gonna say it's black. So once I've smoked out my lower lash line, here and again, I'm taking a different brush and taking that same lime green paint, but I'm using the dry brush method because this was the brush I used earlier to try and paint in my collar, but then I switched the brush. So using what's left over on the brush, I am stippling on the color, and I'm not trying to be neat or precise. I wasn't going for more of a neat, precise look anyway, so it's whatever's. Now I'm doing the broken aspect. So I'm taking a very, very fine brush. I believe it's the same brush I use from that brush that I bought from Amazon, and just generally outlining where I want the cracks to be. And I knew I wanted some aspects to have like big holes. Well, not big holes, like where the main crack is going to be, and then it spreads outward. And I knew I wanted one on my forehead and on my cheek. I think I end up adding to the other side because I felt like the other side of my face was a little naked and it felt a little boring, so I went with the whole cracked face in my theme. At one point I did want to add it to my body, but I think because of the fact that the checkered pattern was so busy, I thought it would have been a little too much, so I just stuck with my face. Now, for doing general cracks, I never really have an ideal placement. Usually when it comes to cracks, I kind of just freehand everything, but if you've never done cracks before, definitely like look up reference pictures of broken glass or broken doll makeups, because there's a bunch of tutorials on how to do cracks and stuff, and like how to highlight them, how to shade them, and all of that. So basically, once I get the general outline, I stop, fill in my lips, which is the NYX Liquid Suede in the color Alien, one of my favorite lipsticks. I love me a good black lipstick. I think this is the only black lipstick I have ever tried. I wanted to try Kat Von D's at one point, but I stuck with affordable. Now, just to add a little bit more of the Harley Quinn aspect, I took my black Mehron paint and outlined the inner corners of my mouth to make my smile look a little bit more clown-like. Now I'm taking this holographic highlighter palette that I got from my very first BoxyCharm from like a year ago, and you saw she has been loved, and I'm taking that green highlighter and highlighting my brow bone, my inner corner, and some of the high points of my face, like my nose, the cupid's bow, and my chin. I realized at that point I forgot to do like my cheeks, but I already had the black paint, and it's definitely gonna smudge the black paint, so I just didn't want to mess it up. So it's fine. So now I am taking the brush I used to smudge out my lower lash line and literally outlining the cracks to make it look like they're raised instead of like they're sitting just flat on my face. So I'm going around but leaving just enough space to make it look like it was risen. And I don't go over every single like edge of the crack because some of them, I feel like if I went up with all of them, it wouldn't look right. At least in my opinion. I don't think, like just thinking about it, I don't think it would look right. It would, I guess, look too flat. I don't know. I can't describe what it is. So basically what I would do is do the line that I want, and once I have the line, darken it and then take the shadow and pull it outwards. So it would be darkest by where the line is and then fading out the further away you go. Kind of like the best way I can describe at least how I do shading. It depends. It also depends on where your light source is and all that. But I had no general... no, I think I did have a light source. I think my light source was coming from under, which is why I shaded the checkers going downwards instead of upwards. I just thought it looked better going from bottom up. That's just me. Oh, you see my doorknob. Oh, I have got to get a better mirror so I can use my other hand. So pretty much after this, I took a green eyeshadow from the Affinity palette, almost said affiliate again, Jesus. And then I'm going to do just the tiniest bit of shading to make the collar look a little less flat. I also contoured underneath the collar on the lime green part. Then I added a little bit of white highlights on the collar, and I added some going around the cracks. And yeah, so pretty much I did my lashes, put the wig on off camera just to make my life easier. But yeah, this is the finished look. I took a bunch of pictures.
Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I can't do this blind, man. I'm so hungry. Oh my god. Don't put bloopers. Issues.